definitely don't want to prefer not to get too political or anything, but I did watch a rather interesting program by the Epoch Times was interviewing a Dutch minister, parliamentary minister. I guess he's started a new party, and he makes a lot of sense. Basically, kind of talked about the globalist agenda. He says, how is it possible that all Western countries, to some level of simultaneity, all started adopting similar ideas, new ideas, if you will, this globalist idea about the carbon footprint, getting rid of cows. I mean, how is it that most, if not all, Western countries adopted these ideas, that there's a bigger mechanism behind it that you don't see? I think they understand human nature. Well, this is the depressing part, is the susceptibility of humans to the herd mentality, and you can get really bad ideas to take hold. I mean, that's been throughout history. That's always been throughout history. And I mean, it's fortunate. I mean, it's always good to see somebody have somewhat of an explanation about it. Puts a little bit of understanding into, gee, you know, this doesn't make sense. And I would say certainly the pandemic was a big eye-opener for most people, how most Western countries, governments, if you will, became pretty darn tyrannical in how they adopted the pandemic methodology, and it went pretty universal to most of the Western countries. And it was interesting that they all went pretty hard. I mean, Sweden was one of the few countries that remained open, and so they resisted. But you've got all these other European and Western countries, Australia, New Zealand, they all went pretty hard. Where, I mean, how quickly the West, for all of their talk about their, you know, their love of freedom, God country, and I mean, boy, they tore that down pretty quickly, and people were very quick to fall into line. And he gave an interesting, actually I think it was on Tucker Carlson, he was interviewing somebody, and he said his wife was pregnant, and I guess for whatever reason she wasn't wearing a mask in the height of the pandemic, and she got chased out of the grocery store. So that is how the human condition goes. It's not enough that they're willing to go in line and take the shot, but you have to, even the citizens will make you get the shot also. So that's the part that's kind of scary. I don't know if I'm going to post this because I don't want to get into politics with it. This is sort of a secular journey, but on the other side of it, I mean, part of the journey is to have a greater understanding of what's happening in our world. So enough of that. Camino Carrion de los Condes. Carrion, that's where we are. Usted está aquí. Down, down here. Ledigos.
Tomorrow.
36 kilometers. So today's to here, tomorrow's to there. Okay, I'll tell you what. When you're young, you don't think about your physicality and your ability to do something, but you worry about money. So when you get older, you worry less about the money, and now you have to think about the physicality. Even simple things, like I bit on something yesterday, and something hot, and it gave me a bit of a sting on my tooth. And then we ran into a woman, and she had to go back, I think, to Burgos. Vio. Anyway, she had to go back to Burgos and get a root canal done. And so that's what I mean about
it's true, there are these weird panics. Like yesterday I was putting my contacts in, and the one in my left eye felt really strange, and so I went to take it out thinking maybe it was reverse inside out or something, and only half of wrote in my eye. And so I had to fish around in my eyeball to find the rest of the, and I got so scared that, oh my God, now I'm gonna have this contact stuck in the back of my eyeball and it's gonna get infected. Boy, was I relieved when it came out.
See, you don't think about that when you're young. You think about, okay, do I have enough money to make it, to stay at the Albergue? You know, now we got enough money to stay in the Parador, but then you have these physical things kind of, yeah.
It's true.
So, I mean, that's how it is. Youth is wasted on the young. So this is the day, I think it's day 17 on the trail.
The Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
It's cold. Feels more like about 40, 45. Windy. At least a 20, 25 mile per hour wind.
I don't know. I kind of think marriage is our practice on this plane of existence that brings us. It's the closest you'll get to sort of your relationship with God, you know, because it's pretty intimate. And, you know, you get a lot and you give up some, but I think at moments you touch each other's soul, and that's a big deal. Really ubiquitous across so many people. Like, what does it spark that makes you want to do it? It's not like, you know, when we did the West Highland Way, you're in nature. I mean, I kind of get that. It's like, oh, you know, I'm in nature and it's beautiful, and you know, you are being physically challenged, but it's beautiful. So you're in nature. But there is something so strange about it. I think there's this vibration that pulls people to want to do this for some reason, even though it's hard and it's not all like for nature lovers. It's some of it's kind of ugly and industrial, and you know, and there's a lot of practicals like every day, you know. It's curious to me, even in my own self, what pulled me to want to do this for so many years, and then here you are doing it, and there's so many every day, every year, all these people doing this. So there must be some sort of link or vibration that people leave here and then you pick up. That's, I don't know, maybe the veil is kind of thin between this plane of existence and the next. I don't know. Thoughts that are coming up in my head, but
Well, how would you describe the difference between what your perceptions were of what you thought the trail and the experience was going to be versus now you're almost halfway through? Now, what has been the difference, the reality?
well, honestly, the thing that I've been the most surprised by has been the inability to fall asleep at night, because my legs are restless almost from like I don't know if it's lactic acid or what, but they feel restless, and I didn't expect that. I thought I would just pass out each night because I was so tired. But that's been pretty consistent across the whole, and totally unexpected. I mean, I guess I would say most of it is what I expected. I mean, I've read a lot of fiction and nonfiction about this. I've watched several vlogs. And I stopped doing that because I was afraid of laying an expectation on it and then feeling disappointed in what had happened. And I don't feel that. I don't feel disappointed. I feel pretty open. I'm definitely getting a message of like, I have everything that I need in myself, and that's a real strong thing that's coming up for me, and that I would want to take back home for sure. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but
Well, what was the biggest disillusionment? like what you thought it would be versus the reality?
Well, I mean, there's definitely a romanticized thing about this trail of that you're going to meet all these people and have these
Yeah.
like really good friends. But I did not come with that expectation because I don't have that need. I really wanted to be meditative and quiet and with my partner and recording what our experience is. And I think as strange as it sounds, as trite as it sounds, the Camino does bring what you need, and to be open to that we're not really getting that, and that's because we don't need it. I really don't need to be meeting. I'm not here for a social scene at all, but if you are, you can find it.
Well,
there.
Roy was a really wonderful contribution to our trip.
That wasn't necessarily a social thing, though. He added
was on the path.
He added a spiritual element.
Yeah, that's what I missed.
That kept you in remembrance
Yeah, I like
of
that.
some things that I can easily get distracted off of my spiritual path by the practicals. The making reservations, the getting my bag packed, the I'm tired, I'm ready to go to bed, fixing dinner. You know, the practical things of life. And back at home it's the same way. It's so easy to get knocked off of that. Oh, remembering to be gracious, remembering to pray, remembering your path with God. So I think that's what Roy.
Yeah, he's really stuck to my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a
He
spiritual
walks
brother.
with us.
Yeah, and I didn't see any physical challenges, and so I was real surprised because he seemed to be a much more devoted to the path, if you will. So, but you know, he's got his own story, and I guess he got what he wanted and got what he needed and got his insight, and he could go back, and he doesn't seem to be the worse for it.
Yeah,
I think he bigger understanding.
I fully think that you could get all the way to Santiago
Yeah.
and make that physical success and not gain anything else than that. And if that's all you really wanted, then great for you. But I think he could have made it all the way to Santiago and not answered some questions or some things that he was grappling with and still have kind of failed. So I hope for him that he found the answers in the time that he was here, even though he didn't go to Santiago.
Well, we're picking up a lot of extra wind, so I don't know if that's gonna muddle up our conversation. So we're gonna sign off.
Said a bunch of really good stuff, and now I don't want to repeat it.
Well, she just said that the first part of the trail is really getting your physicality together, your brain.
And I had read that. I had read that the first kind of third was like getting rid of all those sort of original. Well, I had read that it was more the physical part. For me, it kind of got rid of all the I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry, my legs hurt, I want to stop. Why am I doing this? All this stupid stuff. And then now we're in the Meseta area, second, third, and it's more monotonous, and you've got your legs on, you feel stronger, you've got more stamina, and now your brain starts going deeper to
it's like,
why am I doing this? Who is God? How do I translate what I'm doing here to real life? You know, those deeper thoughts. What is marriage? What do my kids mean to me? Have I done what I wanted to do in life?
yeah, it's almost like the meditative trance of one foot in front of the other puts you in this
moving
rhythmic meditative state, and you know, hopefully it engages your heart. I mean, that's sort of the idea. So you become, I would like to think.
There is something soulful here, for sure. It's like something a few days ago came up for me, and I was like, this really isn't about Santiago. It's like a soul walk. You're really walking back to yourself, and the kind of stripped away part of
I like that.
yourself that's not this physical body. That's your spirit, your soul, who you are and who you've always been. And you're walking back to that. So you really want to make it there, because that's big. That's a big deal. And that's why people go back changed.
Well, I like that. Basically, you're not walking to Santiago, you're walking to yourself.
To yourself.
To your original self
Yeah.
before society sort of infiltrated
Yeah.
its
And so-
ideas on your brain.
And so what are you setting down every single time? I mean, one of the things, something I've noticed, usually when I've traveled, every time I go to a hotel, they're offering, you know, they've got a little extra coffee or they have an extra soap or whatever, and I'll just throw it in my bag or whatever. And my shampoo is about halfway empty right now. It's half full. and I was about to fill it up with this shampoo that one place provided, and I was like, you know what? No, I have half left. I'm not gonna take extra. I don't need that. I'll find it when I need it. And it was real convicting. So small, but I thought that was interesting. It's like I have enough. I have everything I need, and if I need something else, it will come along. Like this nice stick that I found the other day. And I'm not really needing it right now because my knee feels really good. It's funny because I'm having a hard time setting it down and think because I might need it later. I don't know. Because it's a good one.
Well, and see, the way, what I'm thinking about is a lot of the problems that we have in the world are a result of manipulation, because of human beings have this herd mentality, the ability, the ease. You know, I use the metaphor of the sheepdog chasing after the cows, and or the sheep. But you know, one sheep is about the same mass as the sheepdog, and if they just decided to turn around and say, enough, we're not gonna be chased by you, then that's the I think that's the evolution that humans need to make, so that we're not so corruptible by, and I would say an awful lot of the things in the society, certainly now, are bad ideas. They're just bad. I don't want to get political because I don't want to create that dynamic, and I don't want to name them. But if I'm speaking to you, you understand what those ideas are. I think the general overview is become a self-manifesting, self-thinking human. Do not let the mass media, mass government, the group force you into ideas that you haven't explored and you haven't figured out yourself. And I think it's mandatory for the evolution of humans as a species. We're not going to make it. Yeah. I mean, if you can easily take people down the dark rabbit hole and collectively corrupt their brains, I mean, it's a disaster. It's set for disaster, and we're too powerful. We got too many weapons. The destructive capabilities of humans are too high, and so to me, it's like evolution is this independence, this self-thinking, this self-manifesting. Of course, you know, as we walk through the Pilgrim's Way, you know, the churches are so big and they spend all that money and time. So
That's actually a real curiosity.
it is a bit of a curiosity.
There are churches everywhere.
There's churches everywhere. They're beautiful.
And it is curious of how much
Energy, money.
Now, of course, they would have employed
Human resources.
many people to be able to build all of these. So many craftsmen were able to participate and have a livelihood. But it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Well, it's almost like a different type of idol, isn't it?
It
Right.
worries me a little bit that, yeah, it's like, have we just created more idol worship than God worship? You know, and this thing of having, well, they've got relics from different, you know, apostles or whatever. And
Yeah, there
maybe
was no,
they do, maybe they don't.
there was no
But
carbon dating
and-
back then, so
you know,
believe me,
if
it
people- I don't
could
know,
be
if
dog
it's-
bones.
I
And
would say if it's bringing people closer to God, great. Anything, whatever that is, whether that's church or nature or people or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that all of that grandeur and money, I think it can be corrupted.
well, it's
Just
another system, really. When you think about the cardinals and the Pope, I mean, it's humans intrinsically
Yeah, that's the old politics.
lean towards hierarchical systems. So that those
And
systems
they're
are
just bound to get corrupted.
yeah, well, they're well entrenched. I mean, suppose that early man would watch the bull, and the bull would beat off the other bulls, and he'd have the whole harem. I mean, and so
they are
that's
beautiful, just to be sure.
Yeah, the churches.
They really are. You
can't-
you can't get enough of them. The
Yeah, you can't
ceilings
get
to
enough
me
of-
are like,
Yeah.
you just can't stop looking at it, and it's quiet. Sometimes they have like nice spiritual kind of music inside, and it does kind of bring you down. And again, if that brings you closer to God, then I feel like it's doing its purpose. But
Yeah, it is a curiosity.
curiosity for sure.
It is a place, a gathering place, I suppose, and have.
Fellowship with other people, other believers.
Well, how different is it than being a Japanese garden where they've taken nature, made it more beautiful to attract people to come to it,
Yeah.
and people come to it,
Yeah,
and they
it's
have
true.
this contemplative moments.
true.
They look at all of the church and the structure and the grandeur of it, and sort of being embraced by community and the words of the words of God. So I would say too. I'm going to say, I would say as a society we seem to do better when we have, I would say, a religious idea. Secular, when politics becomes the secular religion, that's when dangerous things start to happen. So I would say certainly to revive a spiritual quest, something much greater than what the politicians
It's
are
gotta always
offering.
point to God, though. If it doesn't point to God,
That's a true thing, man.
That's demonic.
Well, and then remember, most of those demonic things are disguised.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
it's
don't-
we're going to save the planet. But it's really about controlling the
Yeah,
population.
they don't. It doesn't come in the
not-
guy with the horns and the pointed tail. It doesn't. It comes as
Yeah.
the beautiful woman.
Yeah, meaning the
It's there to
temptation.
seduce
The
you.
temptation is not going to be the obvious with the horns and the black tail and the smell of sulfur and the pitchfork. So, no, it's going to come in the nice, soft-spoken,
Where
so,
is it pointing you?
Yeah, where's it pointing
Where
you?
is it pointing you?
Yeah, and does it make you freer? And do you lose your autonomy? I think those are important things for me.
Is it putting you in where you're in need all the time, or you're in fear? All of those situations.
Yeah.
Those are not pointing to God.
Well, those are human control mechanisms. If I can make you afraid, then I can control you. Here's a fear, and I've got the solution. And who are you going to follow? You're going to follow the guy with the solution, of course. But then that's why you have to become a thinking human and really analyze the data and make your own assessment. That's where I'm for the individual, the ascension, if you will, of the individual instead of the group mass, which is quite dangerous, can be. Remember in high school, the lunchroom, there was something really, how do I put it? I can never get my head around the lunchroom thing. Okay, and so what I ended up doing is I ended up meeting a quadriplegic guy, and I taught him how to play chess. And it's interesting to think about that because I couldn't connect with the other boys, the other kids that were in the lunchroom. And there's a lot, there's like many classes in there, and this whole social thing, and there's a lot of pressure, if you will. But in an odd way, I felt this probably as damaged, more mentally, and I could understand the quadriplegic guy and better. And
Was he quadriplegic or
yeah, he had to sit, but he could move like
okay,
this.
So he's quadriplegic.
Yeah, he was really a quadriplegic guy, and he was sitting there by
apparently, 'cause he could use his hands.
but he couldn't use his legs.
may
He was
have-
in a
he may
wheelchair.
have had
He was in a wheelchair.
He may have had like cerebral palsy, maybe.
Well, whatever it was, but that's who I connected with, and I taught him how to play chess, and we played chess at break. And then I
The
think,
cool thing about that story is, and you'll never know, but
he could be a chess master.
No, but like, he probably is not a chess master, but the fact that he had a friend that ate lunch with him, I mean, and saw him as just another person. I mean, what a huge gift to somebody.
Yeah, and I think I got so tired of the lunchroom thing, even with my new established friend,
There's a
that I
creepy
quit.
dynamic there.
Yeah, I quit going, and then I remember going one day, like the following year, and there was my friend, a quadriplegic, and he was playing chess with somebody else. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
And so, on the heels of that, so as we were coming into Calderon de las Countess, there are two little baby two little baby birds had fallen out of the tree because the wind was pretty high, and they were like on the sidewalk, and there was like a little elevated, about a 4-foot high wall, and I grabbed the one bird. He seemed to understand that I was his friend, and I put him up on the upper ledge. Otherwise they were doomed. And then the other one, boy, did he squawk and squawk. But anyway, there was the vulnerability of such a innocent, beautiful little creature, and so I hope that they grow up to be big boys and fly with beauty in their wings. But anyway, that's what it felt like. I could connect with the. So
I think helping someone else or something else is the cure, the antidote for sorrow, grief, and your own pain. Go help somebody else, or a bird, or a cat.
Yeah, bird.
Adopt a dog. You know, you just help others, and it just makes the grief and the.
Well, there is a slight curiosity, maybe a slight guilt. You wonder if along the way, along this path, you might think, oh, it's just a walk. We're just walking to Santiago. Maybe not. Maybe there really is a whole nother layer, a spiritual layer that
there is,
and we don't know it, we don't see it.
There is.
And those two little baby birds were
a part of it.
They were one of my challenges, and I had to sacrifice the time because I was tired, it was wet, and
that's not unusual for you to help a bird, though. You've
love
done
birds.
that a lot.
Yeah, I feed birds. Birds are my friends.
See, you know, and that makes you happy.
They're like little angels.
Yep. And then you help something else and it cures your sadness.
Yeah, there you go. So Melissa just reminded me, the thing I like to do with the boys is I like to take them out for a walk around the block. Sometimes I go 2, 3, 4 times.
We call it a walk and talk.
A walk and talk. And,
now we're walk and talk with Melissa and Ray.
Yeah, for week after week after week.
For 40 days.
Yeah, but I think this is the first time I would say that we had the energy to even talk. We had just enough to walk, and I would say we're getting our legs at this point.
It's pretty monotonous today, though. I mean, there's not anything. I mean, again, you're glad to just have a boring day. I just said, because I had lost my friend before we came, you know, Colleen would have loved for just a boring day. Or a simple day, a plain day. You know, and the environment's pretty plain today. You could be anywhere. It's flat, it's pretty easy. So it kind of makes you go internal. Whereas sometimes it's so gorgeous that you just, you're just in awe. I can't stop looking at what I'm around. You almost, it's awesome.
It's so pretty. I mean, it's a lovely day for a walk.
Yeah.
It's probably like 50-something degrees now.
It is. It's like that.
It's green everywhere because it's agricultural. I mean, there's a richness to the land.
But it's conducive for thoughts to bubble up.
I would say just because it's just a well,
and
the
you're
road
not
is
climbing, so you can actually.
You're not climbing, and the road is flat. Yeah,
That's very true.
Yeah, sometimes you meet somebody and you just don't have the petroleum
all you
to
have
have
is
a
enough
talk.
to get up the hill.
Yeah, so this is the walk and the talk. Maybe one day my boys will take this walk and they'll think about their dad and understand who he was. And they might say, Sakai, Sakai. So that's a long way.
Just keep walking.
Here's a little.
That's what they're needing.
Here's a little pop-up. Apparently this part of the Camino is quite long.
Well, this is one of the longest stretches, is what the book said, where there's no amenities, there's no water places, there's no little towns,
little villages.
So they've made this little pop-up coffee bar, El Camino, and you can stop and get yourself a little snack.
And aren't they having just so much fun?
That's what they're needing, and they found it. And if you don't need it, you just walk off. You know, you sure would be happy if you did. It's cute. It's kind of like our...
Just a long road. Camino says you're going from one town, one small village to the next village, and this stretch, there's just nothing out here. And so it looks like descanso surface area. So it looks like they just created a few rest areas for the pilgrims to take a load off.
It's like a shelter. It's bad.
Well, have your own picnic, throw the trash. I don't know if they've got toilet services. But I mean, it's cool. Well, I'm not complaining, but this is the first hill we've hit. We've been at it for about 2.5 hours, and this is nothing compared to what we've been up and down before. But it is just this relentless path through the fields with not a lot of natural breaks in it. Like, oh, what a cute little town. Let's stop for a little bit. Well, we're about what, almost, I'd say 3 hours and 15 into the hike, and we got ourselves a little town.
First town.
Like out of nowhere.
Welcome sight.
Yeah, it's This looks like a welcome respite for the weary after about a 3.5 hour hike. This is the first dinkhole we came to. Oh, mini mart. This is our blown through this town. We got another 1.5 hours to go. Yeah, like these places fill up pretty quick. I mean, there's like large groups of folks, so that's the deal.
People were just rolling in here.
Yeah.
It was like 20 people came off.
Yeah, you're not always going to get. There's just not enough. So
The lady at that store, that tienda, was so nice. She had such a, like, that's
good.
I expected that more on the Camino. Real
Yeah,
bright smile, welcoming. Oh, bring us the cafe and the orange. It was very nice.
Yeah.
You know, just a really sweet lady. This is, what was the name of this place? Calzadilla de la
Caldiza. Yeah.
Queza or something like that. It's the town right before Ledigo's.
But you'll notice that we're here midday.
I know.
It's like
Every
siesta.
town is like this.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but then again, you know, but then at night, man, they come out, and certainly in those big cities, they come out in a big.
Not in these towns. I've been through it 6. There's nobody out. There's nobody here. It's just like, it feels like a ghost town in the U.S.
We're like 3 pretty big size alberques. We got rain over here. We got sun here. And we got 7 kilometers. And so we're probably going to get hit. So it feels like the wind is blowing that mass over to us. So I think we have a short-lived amount of sunshine. And then it won't sunshine anymore. Kind of a pretty plant. Little flowers from a little bit more hill as we're getting ready to go up it. We just missed that cloud, rain cloud. We're about 40 minutes, 35 minutes outside of our destination. The wind seems to have calmed down. Well, there ain't much up here, must admit. That's where we came from. It looks kind of like where we're going. Always a curiosity, people taking the time to put these little arrow rocks together to point the way.
trash picked up. And, trail markers.
La Morena. Pilgrims,
That's
to
where we're
happiness
going.
walk to
That's where
your
we're going.
hostel in Ledigos.
That's our hostel.
All right.
La Morena.
Ooh, this is prettier. You know, this I might fly around here. Maybe. It's probably our little town. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to it.
I don't even think it's a grocery store. I think it's a, this is the only thing that's there.
It's a little bit more rolling hills here.
They don't even have a church here. Doesn't look like it.
No,
Maybe up on the hill,
maybe.
maybe.
Spectacular town. By no means. We'll be lucky if we find a little tienda.
This section has been challenging to find
Accommodations.
stuff. Yes, in fact, tomorrow we're staying in Sagoon, which is kind of your official halfway mark. And I could find nothing between Sagoon and the next stage. So I found there's a train we can pick up for €3, and it'll take us to the next stop, like where you would have spent the night, and we're going to get off the train and walk from there. So we're basically skipping an entire section, an entire day tomorrow, because there's no accommodations. So you have to be kind of willing to do that. And if you want to be more pure about it, you can always go back and go back and forth between finding your accommodation. It's not worth it, because it's not.
You're not gonna. Your life will.
Stay with the program. You want to walk. But you're not missing a lot.
Ledegos. At least it's easy enough to pronounce.
Just gonna go straight on through this thing. Ours is La Marina.
I mean, these albercas is what keeps these places alive. Here we are, La Morena. Now I want to know what. I know that word, I've just forgotten what it means. It's the feminine. Alright. Comes to a nice little alberca. Let's see what this place is like.
Albergue La Morena.
Albergue La Morena.
We have to share a bathroom.
This is a nice little sitting area. This is gonna be for the girls, which is nice. Hola, hola. Yeah, it's pretty clean, and they do look like they keep a decent job of it. It's not all buttered up. Because I think these rooms are private. They don't come with the bath. Oh, it's like cute little sitting areas.